Welcome to God's Menu. Today we're going to make dog biscuits. We just met my dog Blitz. I make his biscuits for him all the time. I'm going to show you how to make yours. First thing you do is you come over to your stand mixer and you put in your flours. And you can use any kind of flour you want. Dogs technically aren't gluten-free, but they can be wheat intolerant. So you might want to omit the wheat flour, but you can use oat flour, rye flour, barley flour, any kind of flour. There's all kinds of brown rice flour. There's all kinds of flour you can use. I mix them all together, and then I throw in a bunch of different types of oats, rye oats, flakes, rye flakes, oat flakes, barley flakes, and just give them a real good all-around flavorful meal. And make sure when you make your chicken broth, and don't do it with beef. Beef doesn't work well. Make sure when you do it with your chicken broth, you use the bone-in skin on to get all the flavor, and then just freeze it ahead of time so you have it all ready for it. Then what you do is you turn your mixer on and just add your broth to it. See how flavorful that is? You want it. That's what flavors the biscuits, is the broth. Give it a chance to kind of mix up. And these, any flour but white flour gets a little weird and gummy, so you got to be careful not putting too much broth in there. So just do a little bit at a time, let it mix, and then kind of go from there. I might need a little bit more down at the bottom. And then you'll see it dry down there. And just keep adding a little bit at a time until it all mixes in. I might have to stir this a little bit, kind of get some of this knocked down. There we go. Like I said, this when it's not with white flour, it gets a little weird and gummy, so it takes a little getting used to working with it. But they make excellent biscuits. My dog loves them, and I've had 3 dogs now that I make the biscuits for. And they all just crave these biscuits. They love them. Okay. And that's how you basically want it to be. And it still will be a little gooey, but I'll show you how to work with that when it comes time to cutting the biscuits. Now the mixing didn't take very long, just a couple minutes. So it's not a very hard recipe. Once it's done, you put it on the counter on a little bit of flour, because there's a little bit of sticky here. And then you just kind of want to turn it into a log and just keep moving around and moving it around until it gets into a nice log. If it starts getting a little sticky, just add a little bit more flour onto the counter. Just don't over flour it. Now when you're making your chicken broth, make sure you make your own chicken broth. Don't buy canned chicken broth. 2 reasons. One reason, it's way too expensive. And another reason is you just won't get the flavor and the nutrition that you need. Make your own chicken broth. I don't like making chicken broth. I'll tell you, it's like biohazard around here. I don't like chicken broth. But I make it for my dog. I love my dog, and I will make it for my dog. So I make chicken broth and freeze it ahead of time. And then that way he's got good, flavorful broth. I'll even throw some carrots and some celery into my chicken broth and give him a nice, good, flavorful broth. Because that's really what flavors these. Okay, once it's rolled into a log, you probably get 2 of these size logs, and then you just start slicing away. And you don't want to make them too thick, because otherwise they'll be giant biscuits. And you just want to kind of make them like so. And then they'll be at a different size, a decent thickness where you can actually even break them in half if you want. Many times I'll just give them a half of one. And if I'm not giving them. So once you've cut it into a log, you basically want to just cut it into 1/4 inch, 1/2 inch slices at the most. You don't want them too thick, because then they'll be too big of biscuits, and you'll only get a little bit out of this. You want a whole bunch out of these. So just cut them along, and then we'll put them on the pan. Now once you have them all sliced up, I like cooking them on these cooling racks. I use them to cook them on. They seem to cook them very evenly, top and bottom, and it doesn't burn them on the bottom, and you don't have to flip them. At first I was flipping them all the time, and that seemed to be a real pain in the neck. So I just started cooking them on here. Now I've got very large biscuits. I've got a German Shepherd, and they like large biscuits. If you have smaller dogs, You can cut them in half or even in quarters and then cook them. And also remember, the reason why I cook my own dog biscuits is the ones in the stores, you don't know where they're coming from. Who knows what country they're coming from. You don't know what's in them. I know what's in these biscuits. Besides all the love and the care I put in them, it's just all natural stuff. And the only thing that's really not, and, you know, in my eyes is the chicken. I wish I didn't have to give them chicken broth, but I do. And but this is the healthiest thing you can give your dog. So give it a try. Now we're going to stick them in the oven at 350 and let them sit here and cook and check on them in about 15 minutes and see how they're doing. You want them golden brown and you don't want them soft. You want them a little bit hard on the top. So I'll show you when they're done what they're supposed to look like. So it looks like our biscuits are ready here. So you pull them out, and I'll kind of show you how you know they're ready. Besides the fact that they're a little golden brown and some spots on the edges, you can kind of see that they're not totally soft. They've got a little bit of hardness to them. So you don't want them totally soft. See, they're a little hard. If I broke them in half, they would kind of snap. And that's what you want. So now what you want to do is keep the dog away from it because it's hot.
Let's get over here.
And you want to put them on a cool towel or something, or another cool rack, and let them cool. You got to keep them away from the dog because the dog will go to where they are. They smell fabulous to the dog. So here's the biscuits drying out and cooling down. And they will dry and harden. Before you put them in any kind of a container, you should definitely let them stay out for a good 6-7 hours. I kind of let them stay overnight. It's a little hard when the dogs are trying to get to them. But if you can let them stay out for a good 6 hours, that's the best thing. And then that way they won't re-soften on you. You want them all nice and hard for the dogs. And now my second batch of biscuits is done here. Take them out. And you'll notice in the background here that I made some granola. Check out the video on my website for that. That's coming out soon too. So you want to put all the biscuits together and let them cool off so your dog doesn't get burned. And this is your final product on your biscuits. And believe me, it's so worth it and your dogs will absolutely love it. Here, take a biscuit. Come on. And as you can see, the dogs just love it. So as you can see, the dogs really love the biscuits. For this recipe and others, please visit my website, godsmenu.com, for my book, God's Menu. Thank you very much. Remember, eat healthy for life.